Week one of the NFL season is upon us, kicking off Thursday night. We've got some NFL thoughts on today's podcast, but it is the keys to victory. What do the 49ers have to do to beat the Chicago Bears in week one? And some unfortunate news about George Kittle, the beginning of his season now in doubt with a groin strain. We'll get into the injury report on the 49ers heading into week one on this episode of Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Two Locked On 49ers, Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you at BD Peacock, at Eric_Crocker on Twitter. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Yeah, we get to watch some actual football, and we're going to talk a little bit about that Thursday nighter, a little bit about the division, a little bit about the NFL. I got some thoughts about a couple of things as it pertains to the league a little bit later in the show, but we got to get right into it with George Kittle. This George Kittle news, according to Aaron Wilson, that it's not good, quote, not good. 49ers tight end George Kittle's groin injury is not good. Contingency plans in place for him should he be ruled out for the first game against the Bears. One source characterized the injury as serious enough it would be best for him to miss a game and potentially miss a couple games to start the beginning of the season. And with these muscle strains, you definitely don't want to push it and then end up missing more time. So we'll get into a couple other injuries, but this is a big one for the 49ers for a player in George Kittle who's integral to the 49ers offense, who's really important, who's had a ton of injuries that are sort of the nagging variety throughout his career.
49ers want to run the ball a lot. And who do they run behind? George Kittle. They do all kind of motions. They do all kind of things to get him out there on the edge blocking guys. He blocks defensive ends extremely well. He blocks linebackers well. He blocks defensive backs well. And just not having them there, I feel like it makes you have to change your game plan up just a little bit. You know, who takes the role of what he does from that tight end position and how versatile he is. It's big. And I guess we've kind of grown to know that George Kittle's going to miss 2 games a season, right? You just don't want it to be week one.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I guess better week one than the playoffs or something like that. Yeah. So this should be a winnable game even without George Kittle, but that is definitely something to monitor. He missed the second day in a row of practice. Looks like this is something that maybe happened Monday at the beginning of the week. And now without going on Thursday, which is the most important day of practice for the week to prepare for that game. And George Kittle not out there with the guys, and it sounds like it's trending toward George Kittle potentially not playing in week one for the 49ers. Looking at the rest of the injury report, limited participant in practice this week, linebacker Dre Greenlaw with an elbow, and Daniel Brunskill has been dealing with a hamstring as well. Tons of muscle pulls for the 49ers. Jimmy Ward seems like it's pretty bad. Is even a torn hamstring? I'm not sure what's going on with Ward, but he might miss half of the season with his. Tons of players, Charvarius Ward and Elijah Mitchell, Daniel Brunskill, not practicing this week with a hamstring injury. You know what's funny is they designated Daniel Brunskill on the official injury report for the 49ers as an offensive tackle.
I missed the question. My bad.
No, I was just Daniel Brunskill was listed as offensive tackle on the injury report. So just a little note there. I don't know if that's something that was, just kind of accidentally thrown in there, or if he's.
Well, we've talked about him. I feel like the best version of Brunskill I've seen is that right tackle.
Yeah, maybe left tackle. When he was in there
or left tackle, excuse me. It's just offensive tackle. We'll say that.
He was covering for Staley at that point, right? When he was playing tackle? Or was
I believe that was when Skoll was in for McGlinchey and Brunskill was in for Staley.
Yeah,
and then remember, one of the guys came back. I believe it was Staley came back and they kept Skoll on one side. And then he was getting beat against the Packers, so then they put Brunskill in over him. I might have it flip-flop, but that's what happened.
Yeah, that's what happens. Skoll was left tackle, Brunskill was right tackle, and then once McGlinchey came back, they replaced Skoll with Brunskill on the left side because he was playing.
Well, not right away. It was like
after
they went out there starting school, and the school was getting butt kicked, and they're like, "Oh no, let's put Brunskill out there."
Yeah. So maybe that just means Brunskill is going to be a super sub this year, which is probably the best way to use him. And if he would have been healthy, I wouldn't have been shocked if they rolled him out there left guard to start the year either. But he's got a hand.
Like Aaron Banks, huh?
I don't know. He hasn't shown me that he's a plus player there. So can he get to that point to be above like starting level? I feel like he's the dirtiest starter for the 49ers right now on the offensive line. But we'll see how that goes on the line. There might be some changes at some point during the season. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. They had him listed as offensive tackle. Could have been just typo. Could have been nothing. Could be a little something. Maybe we'll see some swing tackle Daniel Brunskill this season for the Niners. He could definitely play any position along the line.
I might have jinxed the 49ers because I was talking about them on the podcast and kind of how healthy this team is. I'm like, man, everybody that is projected starter, they're here. And people are like, oh, no, they don't got Jimmy Ward. I'm like, oh, yeah, they don't got Jimmy Ward. But outside of Jimmy Ward, they got everybody else playing. They're ready to go. They're locked and loaded. They have a ton of good players. And then this happens with George Kittle.
Yeah. Does this change anything for you with George Kittle being out? If you know for sure George Kittle is out, is it a huge factor for you for the 49ers as a whole? Do you think it's something that, let's say it's extended, does that really, really hamper the 49ers in your mind? Not necessarily against the Bears. I think they should still be able to beat the Bears without George Kittle. They have enough talent, but like he's not a guy you want to miss a lot, but they've seemed to do fine when he's not in there. They've had good seasons.
Are you trying to tap dance around saying that they don't need him?
No, I'm trying to get you to say it so people get mad at you on Twitter.
I'll say this. I think that his usage is weird, and I've talked about that. And if you look at the pass catching production, there's times where it just drastically dips off for whatever reason, and I don't know why. I almost feel like and when I say this, listen, 49er fans, do not come at me when I say this because I'm just saying this just in general. I would rather trade him and get a first-round pick back or something as opposed to the way they use him, which is like kind of a 1,000-yard receiver here and there, but it's just like they just go away from him, and it's really weird, right? Now, if you told me, and not even to this extent, but there was a stretch of a couple games last season where he had like 12 catches, 140 yards, and he had another big game. Why can't we use him like that all the time? Why do they use him like that in one game and all of a sudden he goes off, and then the next thing you know, he's a glorified right tackle or left tackle, and it's so odd to me. And it's like, if you just want somebody in there that can block, I mean, you can put Kyle Juszczyk there or something. So again, I do not want to trade George Kittle. Don't try to cut this soundbite and be like, Croc does not want George Kittle and he would trade him. I would not trade him, but the way that they just go away from him is really weird. Look at his production in the playoffs, or lack thereof, because they ain't really use him. And I think for a tight end of his caliber, he's a top 3 pass catching tight end in the league. And it's weird. It's odd. It's odd to me for whatever reason.
Trade George Kittle.
Would you? Okay, again, because I don't know what you would do with that first round pick, right? But let's say, hypothetically speaking, right now, a team said, "Hey, knowing the usage of him, and we want to spin things." You just said, "How much do you need him?" I think you need him a lot because they do use him in the run game as well, right? We know how beneficial it is to have George Kittle in the run game and what he does. But if you're just talking about getting a guy that's going to be a legit, blocking tight end, you gotta find a guy like that to do that job, right? So would you rather hold on to Kittle and just know at any moment he can give you a very big play, explosive play, but he's going to miss a couple games a year, and at some point Kyle Shanahan just goes away from him for whatever reason. I don't even know why. Or say, you know what, somebody's willing to give us a first-round pick for him, which I don't even know if they will be, but let's say hypothetically speaking they are. Oh, we'll give you a first-round pick, and you say, all right, well, we'll just use check a little bit more as a blocking tight end, or Charlie Warner, or somebody else to kind of fit that blocking role, and we just use 3 set receivers a little bit more, or something like that.
I would say that to even entertain the idea of trading, Kittle's a heart and soul player, and I think he's really valuable. But
he's more valuable. He's a great player. Right? Top 3 tight end in the league.
We're
But
onto
he's
something-
even more value just with the leadership and like being the face of the team, like and the personality that he brings and him speaking in the media, like that's even bigger than the player. The player is huge,
right?
And
like you're saying though, he's not featured as much as he once was. They need to treat him more like the 1,300-yard receiving season Kittle, I think, more often. And if he was featured more, he'd be even more impactful to the 49ers team. And the reason you might entertain the idea of trading him, to me, would be just because of the injury stuff. And we're seeing it again now. If he's a guy who's going to miss a month every single year, maybe at some point you say, okay, well, he can't be a foundational piece because he's not going to be healthy enough. He's not on the field enough to be that guy. Maybe we should entertain it if someone's willing in the offseason to wow you with some huge offer. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. It's a groin injury.
Yeah, we're just talking.
But
it's just weird. There's a stretch last year where played Atlanta, he had 6 targets, which is, I mean, he caught all 6, 93 yards. Then the next week against Tennessee, 3 targets, 21 yards in a game that you lose.
In a game that you lose, 3 targets for George Kittle, it's unacceptable.
Houston Texans game, 2 targets, catches 1 for 29 yards, that one-hander over the middle. And then in the closeout game against the Rams, 5 catches on 7 targets for 10 yards. I mean, that's a weird stretch. Like, you'll never see a stretch like that for Travis Kelce. You'll never see a stretch like that for Darren Waller or Mike Andrews, right? And Andrews plays in a run-heavy offense, and you still won't see a stretch like that. Like, it's just a little odd.
It's true. No, that's a good point. Hopefully it's nothing. Hopefully Kittle is on the field in week 1, and if it is injury that keeps him out, hopefully he's on the field in week 2.
I talked about the 2-game stretch he had. I mean, 9 catches on 12 targets, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then the next week, 13 receptions on 15 targets, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Like, what? Where is it? Like, how do you do that? How do you go from that to 3 targets, 2 targets, like 7 targets for 10 yards?
How about instead of trading George Kittle, feature the man and hopefully get him healthy and get him on the field.
Right. Get him healthy.
All right. Next, let's talk about keys to victory for the San Francisco 49ers to beat those Chicago Bears, and who's playing Justin Fields in practice for the 49ers. Next. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier for you to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. I'm on LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn. You know you're already there. So why not use that platform to find your next hire? Just add your job to the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks again, everybody, for making Locked On 49ers your first listen every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. For your second listen, make sure you're checking out the Peacock and Williamson NFL show. Make sure you're checking out Locked On NFL Draft and the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. I believe the NFC West is up today, featuring yours truly and all of the rest of the folks in the NFC West that cover their teams here on the network. Search for the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, people might think I'm going to trade George Kittle. I already know I'm going to get those messages. Croc wants to trade George Kittle. That's why I don't listen to him.
I set you up for that one so hard, and I love it. And I can't wait for those mentions on Twitter.
I love George Kittle.
I cannot believe you want to trade George Kittle. How about this? The quote from D'Amico Ryan said, it's Jimmy G. He's the one playing dual threat Justin Fields on the scout team for the 49ers at practice said he's doing a great job giving us great looks and scrambling around. Whatever plays are called, Jimmy's making it happen. We think Jimmy G being Justin Fields in practice, I don't think he's got quite the juice, because that's my first key to victory for the 49ers is not only the pass rush getting after Justin Fields. I think that's going to naturally happen because the Niners D-line is better than the Bears O-line. But once you get there, you got to limit him from escaping. You got to keep contain on Justin Fields. I think that's pretty big to prevent some of those back-breaking third down scrambles where he keeps a drive alive that the 49ers had thwarted.
I can see Jimmy Garoppolo, the similarities between him and Justin Fields. I'm joking, but yeah, that's odd. Why not have Brock Purdy do it? Does it just have to be the immediate backup?
I guess it has to be someone with the threat to run. I don't know. I guess Jimmy needs the backup reps too, so you don't want to give extra reps to Purdy. But Purdy's a little quicker than Jimmy, obviously. But Purdy's. I mean, if you're going to do that, throw up. Depending on the call, like just throw a wide receiver back there,
Right. Ray McLeod or something. No, the receivers need it. It would have to be like Turner or someone.
Anybody. It's wide receivers can throw too. So go sign Mohamed Sanu to the practice squad. Let him do it because he can throw the ball like 70 yards in the air.
You can, or you could just sign me.
Sign Crocker. Crocker can do it. We saw his quarterback pro day.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Now, that's interesting. Just utilizing him to give you the Justin Fields look. I wonder how much better of a scout quarterback Garoppolo is than Trey Lance. Because remember last year, Trey Lance, it was almost like he wanted to do too much and kind of make the perfect throw. But is Jimmy Garoppolo just like, man, I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to have fun. I'm just going to wing it and throw it around. And if I throw interception, so be it, which, little birdie told me he, threw 3 interceptions. But I'm pretty sure it's him throwing 3 picks today with doing their offense. So that doesn't count against anyone. But just throwing it out there, giving guys a look. And that was something that they wanted Trey Lance to do. But Trey Lance is like, dude, I'm the third overall pick. Anything I do, you guys are going to judge me on it. Like, I want to make the perfect throw as opposed to just, run the offense of the Bears.
So are you telling me that Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 interceptions in practice on Thursday?
Little birdie told me, but I mean, he's not running. It's not like 3 interceptions in training camp. We're talking about 3 interceptions in a practice where you are someone else. You have to. Here's the tough thing about practice. Well, first of all, practice in general at the NFL level. The defense knows what the offense is kind of like. They know looks. They've been practicing against this team. So in training camp, it's already difficult. And then you kind of roll that over to the actual season, and now you're a scout team. And a lot of times they hold up cards, right? Like they hold up cards like, all right, this is what you do. This is where you throw the ball. And the defense comes out, oh, yeah, this is what they know the look. They know exactly what you want to do from that formation down the distance, because they'll call out 3rd and 5, and then they come out and they give you a look, and 3rd and 5, this formation, this is what they do. So, if somebody throws 3 interceptions in that type of scenario, it's like, of course.
Right, and sometimes you're forced. You're like, you have to throw this ball.
Well, and that's what they wanted Trey Lance to do, and he's like, I ain't throwing that.
Yeah. Like, I don't want that. The people are keeping stats on me in practice. I don't want to do that. All right, Croc, what do you think? Keys to victory for the 49ers against the Bears. What's important to you this Sunday?
Take care of the ball, first and foremost. Rain is on the forecast. I haven't checked to see if it's still there, which, what the hell do I wear when it's 75 degrees but it's raining? I don't even know what to wear. But anyways, you want to take care of the ball first and foremost. When you are a team that wants to control the clock, when you are a team, and most teams want to control the clock unless you're like the Kansas City Chiefs. But when you are a team that wants to run the ball and play good defense and kind of rely on that as opposed to putting everything on your young quarterback's shoulders, you got to be able to take care of the ball. So first and foremost, don't have any fumbled kickoff returns or punt returns. Don't have any fumbled exchanges. Don't throw picks. Take care of the ball.
We've still got, 72. It looks like the forecast is 72 degrees instead of 76 degrees now, and still rain in the forecast for Sunday in Chicago.
not ideal for Crocky.
70%. So it's even more. It was 60% yesterday. Now it's 70% chance of precipitation, 72 degrees. So more wetness and less warmth now, according
So,
to
do I wear like the little poncho thing from Walmart? Like, what do I get?
you go short sleeve hoodie.
Okay, I got a short sleeve hoodie.
There you go.
Yeah, I got
Short
one.
sleeve hoodie. Roll out there like Belichick.
Oh yeah, the hoodie. Okay. But yeah, the weather, you got to take care of the ball.
How
First and
about this?
foremost. I think that's going to be like the biggest key to victory.
Take care of the
And it should be, but it's even more so when, you don't want to have Trey Lance right now at this point in his development having to throw you to victories. Like that's not ideal, right? And I looked at some numbers. I pulled up some numbers on Russell Wilson, and I was looking at some of his stats. He didn't throw the ball a whole lot his first year starting. Now, he was a legit rookie as opposed to Trey Lance, who did have 2 starts last year. But 393 attempts. That's not a lot in the NFL. Because if you go to later in his career, let's say 2020, the last time he started a full year, he threw the ball 558 times in 16 games. So we're talking about almost 200 more attempts than his first year starting. And even his second year starting, 407 attempts. Like that is not a lot. So again, when you have this quarterback and you have this kind of philosophy of play good defense, run the rock, which clearly Seattle did, especially with the LOB and Marshawn Lynch, you don't want to put him in situations where all of a sudden you got to throw 40 times in a game because that's not your identity at this moment. Eventually, again, like I said, Russell Wilson, 2019 threw over 500, 2020 threw over 500. Well, several times. 2016, 550, 2017, 553. But so eventually you're there, but he ain't there yet. Russell Wilson wasn't there yet. So those turnovers, you don't want to put it in a situation where now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you got to carry us. That's not him yet.
My next key to victory ties into that. And you're talking about playing defense and running the rock. That also ties into my next keys to victory for the 49ers to beat the Bears. Some NFL-wide thoughts as well coming up next. But first, we got to tell the folks about BetOnline, your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports information this season. The line keeps moving for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Started off day after the Super Bowl last year. The Niners were 14-1 to win the Super Bowl. It started to climb. People were putting money on the 49ers. They were kind of the darling for a while. And it got to 11-1 odds for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. For some reason, it's kind of dropped down again now through the preseason. And now it's even below what it started at. 16-1 is the odds for the 49ers to win this upcoming Super Bowl. Not only Super Bowl, you can bet on Coach of the Year, Rookies of the Year. You can bet on Nick Bosa to be Defensive Player of the Year. I already got money on Nick Bosa going way over the 12 sacks, which is already, I think that line has climbed as well this season for Nick Bosa. Sack totals, tons of betting on NFL games. You can bet on, of course, all the other leagues, MMA, boxing, golf, Major League Baseball, NBA, hockey. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events. BetOnline is also your continued source for not just wagering, but information, including live betting. You get scores, you get all kinds of news as well. So get over to the website today. Use your mobile device or your desktop computer to learn more about the trends and action at BetOnline, where the game starts. Croc, you mentioned just holding on to the football and just some basic fundamental stuff for the 49ers. Come out, play a clean game. And one of them to me is just beating the Bears where you're better, right? Don't let the Bears have this fluky game where they're going to beat you when your players are better. Go win your matchups, right? The defensive line needs to dominate the offensive line of the Bears. The linebackers need to fly around, and they just need to snuff out that running game before it even starts, make the Bears one-dimensional. So Justin Fields is running for their life. It's for his life. And so that's one of the keys to me is just win the battles you're supposed to, win the matchups you're supposed to, because the 49ers are a better team. Go into Chicago and act like it. Make it clear from the jump that you're a better football team.
Right. And we've seen the 49ers go out and do that, different times, right? Where it's clear, Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm not comparing this Chicago team to Jaguars. We don't know. But I remember going to that game and it was just like, oh, yeah, 49ers, they're just in control, right? And you want to have that type of control over a Chicago team. A lot of people feel like this is a bad team. and you have to go out there and prove it. I saw it was like a bold prediction on social media, and it was some big website, football website, and their bold prediction, part of it, or one of the bold predictions, was the Chicago Bears will have the worst record in football. So the 49ers, like you said, you got to go out there and impose your physicality, impose your strength. You feel you have the better coach. You feel you have the better players all around. You got to go out there and prove that. Now, again, I keep going back to last year, and I know the 49ers maybe had a couple players out or whatever, and at that point of the year, there's injuries. But they didn't do that against Chicago, in Chicago, until late in the game. So this time, can you get out to a faster start? Just so everybody kind of settles down. Your young quarterback settles down. Your young offensive lineman at right guard, left guard, they settle down. Your young nickel cornerback, Womack, he settles down. There's a lot of young players in this game, and this is a big moment for them. I mean, imagine going from, you played at Toledo, where Eric Crocker and Brian Peacock and some of those guys knew nothing about you when you were drafted. And now you're playing week 1, starting in the nickel at Soldier Field. Like that's you haven't been in that position before. So there's going to have to be some settling down going on with some of these young guys.
Absolutely. And that goes right into my next key to victory, which is the offensive line. And you got 2 young starters. Like Aaron Banks basically took a red shirt last year and hadn't been on the field. You got a rookie in right guard in Spencer Burford at right guard, who's never played an NFL snap. And this is his first NFL game. So you got multiple rookies and young players, second-year starter and Trey Lance, all making their first appearances in this, like, I am week 1 starter for an NFL football team role. And to me, the offensive line is really, 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 really important this year. So much so because of how the 49ers want to play. Plus, you got a young quarterback you're trying to develop. You got to keep Trey Lance clean, allow him to do what he needs to do to win football games, but also help him out with down and distance, running the football. So not only pass protection, but run blocking as well. The 49ers front, that is the weakness right now of the team on the interior offensive line. Prove that you're not a weakness of this team and go out and run the rock and make things easy for your young quarterback. So I think that offensive line is going to be a key to victory a lot for me this year.
Yeah, another key to victory, and you talked about the offensive line, but I want to be a little bit even more specific with Robert Quinn. You got to chip him, do different things to really slow him down. He had a bunch of sacks last year. I want to say close to 20 sacks in the season. Nobody talks about Robert Quinn. And he's been a guy who has been able to kind of torment the 49ers even when he was with the Rams. So you got to be able to slow him down coming off of that edge. If that's the one guy that can really hurt you, and we've seen him do it at different times, you got to chip block him. You got to give him a little bit more attention to make sure that he doesn't impact the game in a negatively way for the San Francisco 49ers. I had Trevor Lawrence. I had Justin Fields, quarterback coach, on my YouTube channel. And he talked about just seeing the field and some of these young guys. He's like, young guys are not ready to start. He was talking about seeing the field and holding on to the ball just a tick too long and all these different things that go into quarterbacking. And when you have a guy like Robert Quinn who's able to really bend that corner quick and get on you and it speeds up that process, that can lead to being inaccurate, feeling rushed. And we've seen that from Trey Lance. So you got to keep him clean. And it starts with Robert Quinn. There is a stat, and I bookmarked it with Trey Lance. Hold on, what are the bookmarks? But and this is a really good one. All right, so the highest passer rating by a rookie quarterback when not under pressure in the next-gen stats era. So this is since 2016. All right, higher passer rating out of all rookie quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence. Why I keep saying Trevor Lawrence? He's not even playing this game. Trey Lance is number 1 with 120 quarterback rating when the pocket is clean. So again, it's when he's rushed, when things start to go haywire, when he's moving too fast mentally. And one thing that can make you go too fast mentally is Robert Quinn bending off of that edge. You got to give him more attention. You like that stat?
That's fantastic. Huh? I love it.
Number 1. Number 2 is Deshaun Watson.
And yeah, people
forget Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow. Yeah, and then Justin Herbert. But at the top by a long distance, which these guys played more than Trey Lance, so there's that too. But clean pocket, 120 quarterback rating as a rookie.
We got real football Thursday night. We're recording this before that Thursday night football game happens. A lot of folks might listen to this after the football game, but what are your grand thoughts as the season actually kicks off this year, Croc? What do you think about the Rams being underdogs at home, Super Bowl champs, underdogs at home? Wow.
Dude, I tweeted that out, and people responded almost as if it was like a stupid question. Like, oh yeah, Bills are the Bills. So I tweeted out, the Rams are home dogs. Like, to me, that's just wild. You're coming off of a Super Bowl win, got the same quarterback, still got Cooper Kupp, got your running back even healthier, Cam Akers. They have lost some pieces, and I'm aware of that. On offense and defense, you lose a guy like Whitworth, right? He's not protecting your quarterback's blind side. Like, that's tough. But I mean, this is still like Sean McVay's the head coach. I don't care what anyone says. Since he's been head coach, I have not seen a drastic drop off from this team from year to year. They are always highly competitive. They are always very well coached. They have a tough time beating the 49ers, but outside of that, they kick ass. And my responses to my tweet are that well, of course, and again, the reason why I put emphasis on like being underdogs at home, because when you're at home, you automatically get 3 points. So you're telling me they got 3 points and they're still the underdogs? Like, that's wild to me, and very kind of disrespectful. And a lot of people are saying, well the Bills they're just so great. Like, dude, the Bills got to prove it. So Bills lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, 6-9. You know, I'm not saying that's who they are. They got a terrific quarterback, a great roster. I like their additions. Adding Von Miller, they went out, got Kyrie Elam in the draft. They got 2 rookies starting at cornerback in this game until Tre'Davious White comes back. I love their safety tandem with Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And I mean, like, yeah, this is a terrific roster, a really good team. But it's still very disrespectful to have them as favorites on the road. And again, another thing I'm gonna get, Croc, they don't have a home field advantage. It doesn't matter home field or what. Like, if you're playing at home, you get 3 points, regardless of if you're the Rams and don't have a great home field presence, which I think is kind of getting better a little bit.
And if the Rams were ever going to have a home field advantage, it's going to be the first home game after winning a Super Bowl. They're giving out rings to guys, and all of the hardcore fans are going to be there. Everyone's so pumped on this team that just won a Super Bowl, and you're playing against a team like the Bills. And I know Bills Mafia is a great fan base, but they're about as far away from LA as you can get. So if there's going to be a home field advantage for Los Angeles, it's going to be this week 1. And what's funny is the betting line the Rams were favorites by like a point to start, but so much money came in on the Bills side, the line actually has changed that much to where the Bills became the favorites in this one. Okay. So originally Vegas agreed with you, Croc.
Okay. Yeah. I was just my response. And a lot of 49er fans very disrespectful to the Rams.
Yeah, well, of course, that's just going to happen. Anyway, another team the 49ers fans are disrespectful to, the Arizona Cardinals. A little teaser for the ultimate season preview that I talked about earlier. Our good buddy, Alex Clancy, host of Locked On Cardinals, who we have fun with those crossover podcasts, he thinks that the Cardinals are going to be better than the 49ers this year. Can't believe that a first-year starting quarterback is getting so much credit to lead a team to the playoffs like the 49ers, and he's got the Cards finishing ahead of the 49ers in the division. I don't want to tease any more from that show, but what do you think about that, Croc?
Arizona, I mean, just a weird team and weird offseason. I talk about quarterback position, head coach, weird offseason. Like, the 49ers don't have a weird offseason, right? Like, bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back, all this talk around Trey Lance. But theirs is even weirder because they haven't proven that they can really take things to the next level. Their quarterback, they originally put an incentive in there for him to watch film in his contract. Like, hey, you got to watch 4 hours a week, which, dude, 4 hours a week of film, like, that's really not much. You know what I'm saying? So you're telling him to do the bare minimum, which is basically saying he ain't doing anything extra, but that's who's leading your team, and he already has this the reputation of not being a great leader. And the head coach, they fall apart second half of the season. I mean, again, it's hard. If you look at the 49ers, and I've seen some on NFL Network and things like that, have the 49ers in the power rankings as high as the 3rd best team in the NFL. And you can say, oh, the quarterback and young and all that. Dude, the 49ers have won 4 playoff games over the last, 2 playoff appearances with 3 of them, their quarterback didn't even throw a touchdown. So clearly they've shown the ability to be able to win without having great or elite quarterback play. So I don't think that Trey Lance, being inexperienced, moves the needle downward enough to move this team off of maybe having a better, thinking that they'll be better than the Arizona Cardinals with all the weird things that they have going on.
One last note here before this season gets kicked off. I think people are burying the Seattle Seahawks a little too early. I do have them picked 4th in the division, but I look at a team like the Seahawks and the talent they have on the roster from top to bottom. And I look at a team like the New Orleans Saints, and everyone loves the Saints and has them in the playoffs. The Saints don't have a left tackle right now. They got Jameis Winston, who throws the ball to the other team as much as he throws it to his own team throughout his NFL career. Is there that big of a difference between a team like the Saints and the Seahawks on paper? Like even the difference between Geno Smith and Jameis Winston, is there that big of a difference there? It's really weird that everyone's ready to say, yeah, the Saints are great and the Seahawks are the worst. You look at that roster top to bottom, and I don't know if I necessarily see it that way, that extreme.
I've been a little surprised with how high I've seen them in some power rankings. And even our own locked on power rankings, they had the Saints a top 10 team over a team like the Dallas Cowboys. And again, you can say Dallas Cowboys overrated. You could say they always flop, whatever the case is, but that was a team that won like 13 games last year. And they are going to be good. Again, they're going to be a tough out. I don't see them just losing a ton of games. But to have the Saints over them and you're banking on Jameis Winston coming off of a, restructured, reconstructed knee. And even then, I don't know, just weird dynamic. Maybe they're saying that defense is great and they're going to lean on that defense. And you got some receivers, talented receivers. You got Michael Thomas back. You got Chris Olave you drafted. You do have Juice, their slot receiver. So, and that's Jarvis Landry. So maybe it's just come here. Maybe it's just they got a lot of good players. And almost like the 49ers where you just like a lot of good players around this quarterback that can be questionable.
Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, though, too. It's not like they got scrubs out there, and they've done a good job adding to their offensive line.
There's a lot of question marks about their defense. They got 2 corners starting that are rookies. How good are they going to do? Love Condre Diggs. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league. He plays safety. But there are a lot more question marks surrounding the Seahawks. And then you add on that, like, who's their running back? They had Chris Carson retire. They got a rookie who missed a lot of time with a hernia. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't even know who their running back is to take the pressure off of Geno Smith.
I mean, they got Rashad Penny. He was the best running back in the league for the last 5 weeks of the season last year, former first-round pick. And they got a second-rounder. I think Ken Walker is going to be really good once he gets over this whatever hernia thing is. He's not dynamic in the passing game, but I thought he was the best pure runner, even better than Breece Hall in the draft this year. So we'll see. And look, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be great. I'm not quite yet ready to bury that team yet, is all I'm saying. But you know what's even more fun is how good the 49ers could be, because we're all talking about how, Trey Lance, we're not sure what he's going to be. If, we just want him to be solid in his first year as a starter. What if Trey Lance is a lot more than that? What if Trey Lance is the dude? How good are the 49ers going to be now and for the foreseeable future? That's something exciting.
The league will be in trouble.
Yeah, the league will be definitely in trouble then. And Croc and I will have it covered for you guys every step of the way. The 2022 season is here. Croc and I will be back post-game to break everything down from 49ers Bears in week 1. Talk to you then right here, Locked On 49ers.